No. So I'll try and switch on my video to see if the the bandwidth is permitting. In case not, I'll take your suggestion like last time and I will switch off the video and continue the class. All right. We had started with, in the last class, actually, we had covered things to do with the customer brand equity. So we will try and see what are the things that we had covered in the previous session, and a little bit of recap before that, because otherwise it will become a little bit of problem. So we had started with the branding challenges and opportunities, and we tried to see what are the branding challenges and opportunities with some examples. So I'm sharing the screen right now with the PPT. Do let me know if you have any queries, any kind of clarifications that you need as we go along. So this is a quick recap of whatever we've done in the previous session. So we have discussed about branding challenges and opportunities, and we've discussed aspects about savvy customers. So customers being smart, there are challenges to that as well, because people tend to know about competitive offers in the marketplace. They are also very free to express their opinions and their preferences, and are at freedom to choose anything or actually express what they need. And that causes a lot of brand proliferation, the expansion of the number of brands, or the brands that are there in the portfolio of any company. And the brand proliferation leads to the fact that there's a lot of clutter and there's a lot of brands to be looked around. And possibly what happens is, in order to ensure as a company, do you reckon in the list of consideration of your customers, which means first and foremost, your brand must be known to the customers. So brand awareness is the first prerequisite, subsequent to which it must come into the consideration set of the customers. So the more the number of brands you have in a category or in a particular kind of a product, category, it becomes important and imperative that you as a brand feature in the awareness set and proceed thereon with a lot of liking, lot of being considered to be favorable, trustworthy, reliable. All of these factors will ensure that from the brand awareness level, the brands thereafter proceed into the consideration set of the customers in order to be perceived as a brand worth considering to be noted for evaluation and subsequent purchase contemplation. So the more the number of brands are there, what happens? A lot of confusion. There could be a lot of clutter. There could be a lot of similarity in the brand perceptions among different brands. So therefore, what stands out in the mind of customers is how well your brand is positioned in terms of the emotional connect, the functional connect, the kind of, the brand personality that has been built up over time. So the brand image, the brand positioning that has been done by the company, what does it lead to? So what happens is, in order to communicate all of these, you will require a lot of media focus. So media planning is important, because your customers are not on one screen only, they're not on one particular medium only. So there's a lot of proliferation within the media also. So you will have electronic, print, medium, and of course you will have the internet. You will have among each of these categories, or within each of these categories, among print, for example, you will have a variety to choose from. Talk about daily newspapers to magazines, and within all of these, again, you will have various kinds of newspapers. You will have economic focused newspapers or business oriented newspapers. You will also have newspapers which have different kind of reach and different kind of appeal, the local flavor attached to each of the newspapers. That's why you have big brands like, for example, Bennett and Coleman or Times, which have different editions for different cities, because you need to tend to also personalize or at least customize the news, not only with respect to the global or the national news, but also customize it with a local flavor, so that people within a particular city or town also find the news relevant. So there's a lot of activity which happens in that space. And of course, in addition to the national brands of newspapers, you will also have lots and lots of local brands of newspapers that cater to the local needs. So therefore, even within the print media, if you talk about, there are a lot of varieties of print media option to choose from, should a particular brand decide to advertise. So who are your readers, who's the target segment, all of these have to be considered. And you will have different kind of appeal. Some focus really on political news, some focus on a business news, some focus on a mix. For example, the Hindu Newspaper is one such, which is considered by lot many people with a very lot of credibility, and even people who are preparing for UPSC, they also refer to that newspaper because of the kind of credible news that comes out, from which a lot of the sources of current affairs is also sought. So various kind of print medium options are there. Now, in addition to these, again, you have the magazines, you have business magazines, you have entertainment magazines, you have magazines which cater to the local, taste and preferences. So all of these are there. And of course, when you come to the electronic medium, again, a variety and a plethora of options that are available for brands to choose from. So whether if you're a soap company and you have a soap brand like Lux, should you advertise during prime time television news, broadcast, or should you focus on soap operas, the serials that are coming during the day? Should you focus on a very local language serial? So a lot of options really to choose from. And in addition to that, of course, you have the internet and you have the various social media platforms and all of that. So we will be gradually looking into one such case of YouTube, how it has proliferated or how it has got really marketed in the contemporary era. So a lot of competition therefore arises in terms of trying to manage the brand in a company. So increased competition would mean that first and foremost, competition per se is what? Nothing but any kind of company or any organization which again tries to fulfill or satisfy the needs of customers in a similar manner to what a company is offering with its own product or services. So typically when a set of companies or a set of sellers try to satisfy similar set of needs of customers in the market through kind of a portfolio of products or services which are named in a certain way, therefore you have lots of brands, and that creates competition, which means trying to vie for the same set of customers with more or less the same kind of unique selling propositions which the company would claim, and then they would be the focus to try and see what is the competitive advantage that the seller is providing or a set of sellers are able to provide. Now, what happens in this case is that you need to understand that whenever such things are happening per se, you will be faced as a company with the decision how to make your offer unique in the marketplace. All right. And therefore, you need to think about a sustainable competitive advantage, and not just a competitive advantage which serves you in the short run, something which really serves you over the long run, which means in the case of fast moving consumer products, like we've discussed about big companies like Procter & Gamble or Unilever, Hindustan Unilever, ITC and all, they come up with different varieties of brands because you need to keep the interest of the customer up and running. So you need to come up with different kinds of brand options. You need to come up with different varieties. You need to come up with different options, different kind of packaging, different kinds of offers. If you're in the electronic space, you need to come up with the different kinds of updated models, because technology being involved and then the upgradation of technology involved in making a product. So when technology itself is getting updated in a span of 3 to 6 months, not even 9 months, this in the last couple of years, the technological obsolescence has actually kicked in much faster. So that ensures that you can have better technology to develop newer products. So upgradation of products mean that you need to come up continuously with newer models. And so we see how the success of brands like Apple or Samsung has stood the test of time. Although we had stalwarts like Nokia in the electronic space, and especially in the mobile market, we or BlackBerry, for example, who were market leaders at one point of time but lost their ground because of the inability to keep up with the pace of product development. Now, so therefore, there are a lot of implications in the competition coming at an increased pace in the market. That all leads to the next challenge in branding, which is, of course, the increase of costs. Cost in terms of the input of the resources that are required for the investment purpose, for in order to ensure that you can actually invest in certain critical components or processes or raw materials involved in making or delivering the product to your customers. So you need to understand the value chain activities. You need to understand where all the resource investment has to be done. And of course, there's always a relative evaluation about where to invest your resources gainfully, so that you can have return on your marketing investment or return on your branding investments. And everybody talks about return on the capital, right? So there is a lot of focus as well on this. Now, when there is a downturn, for example, during the pandemic, you would have seen that many companies had that particular dilemma, right? What do you do in the short term just to survive. And of course, what do you do in order to retain your competitive edge so that you can sustain in the market, and then of course think about the medium term and long term. So at various times during the last couple of decades, I would say, okay, the last 1 century, we have had different kinds of times where the world has seen economic recession, depression, social crisis, political crisis, and that leading to various kinds of upheavals in the market space, leading to implications where businesses were faced with threats and crises. And it's almost been happening almost once every decade. And the last we've seen was 2008, and then saw some kind of revival in 2012, 2010 and 2012. But then come 2019 and 2020, we were faced with the pandemic globally. So what typically happens is that we are often faced with a situation wherein we are having to understand how does a company really balance its investment for costs, and how does it ensure that it can retain its marketability of the different products without compromising on the investments that are required. So we come to the next thing, which is about the accountability. And when we talk about the accountability of companies, we need to see that, 1 minute, I'll just check, there is a technical. I hope you're able to hear me. If you can send your message in the chat box. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you, Ashil. All right. So therefore, all of these lead to a lot of accountability that is required in the brand management space, and companies are making their stakeholders in the marketing departments and in the branding space accountable for every kind of dollar or cent or even a currency amount spent in the marketplace as well. So now that brings us to the next thing, which is to understand that when you do these kind of brand equity, brand management, the most important thing which comes up is the concept of brand equity. All right, so brand equity would mean the valuation that you have of a brand, how much or what value does it contain, and valuation in this kind of a connotation definitely includes the financial valuation. So brands are normally considered to be the intangible assets of any company. They are of course copyrighted, the copyright protection is there, the patents are there, the patents are say for designs wherein the brands with a certain kind of a logo, color combination, slogan, the method by which it is designed, the graphics, every kind of thing is taken into consideration. And of course the protection is required because you don't want too many situations wherein you are faced with similar kind of name, design, term, sign, symbol being used by some other set of person or persons or sellers who try to copy your brand illegally and try to market their products, which means it's a forgery. So therefore the concept of brand equity basically emanates from that, the fact that once you invest your marketing resources towards promoting your brand, positioning your brand, creating an image with your customers, trying to understand what is the segment that you're going to target, how you're going to position, all these efforts must be leading to some kind of a financial return for your company, which means that this financial return would be basically arising out of what kind of customer base can you command because of the value or the position that the brand has with the customers. What would ensure that customers would choose a particular product or service category because it is branded from a certain company. So there is a variety of concepts that are going around. One of the globally accepted concept is from the Interbrand company, the company which I've been telling you about, where this brand equity is valued or evaluated with a variety of qualitative and quantitative factors. All right, and it tries to showcase which are some of the valuable brands in the market because of its role in the marketing strategy. So what is brand equity per se, if you talk about the definition? So brand equity relates to the fact that different outcomes result in the marketing of a product or service because of its brand name, as compared to if the product or service did not have that name. So if you did not name a product or service, Okay, and you just kept it like that in the generic form. Like we have a lot of commodities which are marketed like that. For example, you do have Kohinoor brand of rice, but you would also have loose rice in the market, right? You could also have rice which is being sold by local vendors in an open sack, and they're selling it in bulk. So you may not have a name to that. But again, for example, apart from Kohinoor basmati or some kind of a brand of rice, you also can go to a big bazaar, or you can go to a more retail outlet, and you could see that it is neither basmati nor is it unbranded, but it is the store brand which is mentioned on the pack of rice. So the question here is that what would ensure that a Kohinoor brand of rice gets picked up because it is branded as Kohinoor and not unbranded? Versus also, what is the possibility that if a store, a retail store like Big Bazaar or say More is marketing rice and marking the packs with their own store brands, which could be Food Bazaar, Big Bazaar or More, and putting that brand, and how or what is the possibility that a customer would pick up that particular store brand vis-a-vis an unbranded, picking up rice which is not branded at all, or even, for example, picking up a national brand. Say if Kohinoor is also placed, packs of Kohinoor is also placed, what is the possibility that they would pick up a national brand? So which brand has more value? That's what is brand equity. So therefore, brand equity would be there in different brands to a greater or smaller extent, depending on what kind of marketing efforts have gone into that and how much of brand connect has happened between the brand and the customer. All right. So that brings us to the next concept about strategic brand management. Strategic brand management, which means that brand management at the strategic level, which is about the design and the implementation of marketing programs and activities to build, measure, and manage the brand equity. So what is a strategic brand management? Strategic brand management is that management that you're doing at the top level before you enact or you start your tactical level of marketing practices. What do I mean by tactical level now? Tactical level would mean strategy, for example, are the broad plans that you make in order to ensure that you are able to get to your goals, you're able to achieve your goals. So these are the broad plans, these are the broad activities that you plan out, the broad programs or the broad framework, vision that you set in order to achieve your goals. Tactics would mean all those activities, all those executional plans that you make in order to execute what is your strategy. All right, so you need to have a plan before you act. It is important to plan, like Peter Drucker says, it's very important to plan, but it is also important to ensure that you execute the plans. Now, while it is important to plan, if you do not plan, you're actually planning to fail. So planning is important, but in addition to that, it's equally important that you have the execution activities that are required and that should be implemented. So many people do have lots of grandiose plans, plans which sound very nice, which are very elaborate, and that's why many people denounce the fact that it's not enough just to make plans on Excel sheet or just to make very elaborate plans, because finally plans have to get executed. So yes, planning is important. So as management theorists and academicians and industry practitioners, we do propose, and we have also done it in our corporate life, which is plan and also execute your plans. All right. So strategic brand management is that planning level, which is involved with the design and implementation of planning programs. So it's not that strategy would leave at the point where the plans are made, but it would also ensure that the entire process, so strategic management process has a set of activities, which is not only in terms of making, considering the vision, mission, objectives of the company or the department, but also in terms of making those plans and designing those things and thinking about how to implement it, but also to ensure that the plan has been executed and find out at the end of the execution what has gone right and what has not gone right, because that forms a feedback loop back into the strategic management process. So this entire process is definitely very important. Now, strategic brand management process, which means a strategic management process pertaining to brand management, is defined and it involves 4 major steps. What are the steps? Identifying and establishing the brand positioning and values. All right. Second, planning and implementing brand marketing programs. Third, measuring and interpreting brand performance. And fourth is growing and sustaining brand equity. So these are the 4 steps, 4 points which are involved in the strategic brand management process. If we revisit them once again, if you see the points from 1 to 4 are actually put in a sequential order, in a chronological order, which is in a sense how you start off. So where do you start off? Do you start off with point number 4, or do we start off with point number 3, or do you start off with point number 1? You do start off with point number 1, which is identifying and establishing brand positioning and values. That's it. That's why it's very important to understand, first of all, what is brand positioning. So we will look into that. What is about brand positioning? What do you mean by values? Brand values per se. And the second point, therefore, is after you have done the first process, the elaboration, the deliberation, the contemplation, the planning, the kind of brainstorming that goes into it to find out what is it that you're going to do about a particular brand, you go into the next step, which is basically to plan and implement the brand marketing programs. So the next step must involve things about considering how do you act it out in the market, how does it get implemented, how does it get executed in the market. And when we say execution in the market, it is easier said than done. It is not as simple as just saying this statement that let us execute it, because execution would mean to understand the brand nuances that need to be considered when you are actually talking about making it relevant for a customer or for a set of customers. People are not the same. People have different kinds of social backgrounds, environmental backgrounds. People are with different kinds of choices and preferences. So there are a lot of variables that are there that you need to take into account in order to ensure that your brand actually connects with your customer. All right. So is there a connection between the brand, how it stands in the marketplace, and how customers perceive the brand? Yes. It all depends not only on one such brand, it also depends on the multiple brands that are around in the customer's arena of consideration, right? So the third point therefore becomes important, which is measure and interpret the brand performance. Measuring and interpreting brand performance must be done, but before this you need to set out the metrics. So you need to understand how are you going to evaluate the brand. So you need to make out a question paper, say for example, to find out how is the brand doing, right? So the question paper would have to be made out first, and then you execute the programs, and then you go and measure those things and try and come back and see whether your brand has performed as per your expectation or not. If it has, then what made it happen? If things have been better than what you expected, then is it that you have done really well, or is it that your estimations itself were very, very conservative? All right. Or is it that you've not been able to take full advantage in the marketplace? Third situation could be if the brand has not performed as per the expectation or as per whatever are the competitors also performing, then one needs to take a deep introspection. One needs to have the introspection in the team to find out what really has not clicked, what did not work, why did it not work, understand the corrective measures that can be taken. The last but not the least is to understand how to grow and sustain the brand equity. So that's what we focus on these days. It's not only about building a brand equity and expanding the valuation in the marketplace, but also ensuring that your brand sustains. Sustainability is a very key concept, because sustaining means it's just not surviving. You really are sustaining with a lot of valuations inside. You have value propositions inside. There is a key thing that is critical for a brand success, which means the connect with the customers, the connect to remain relevant. That's why the practices of companies which have stood the test of time, say the Tata Group, the ITCs, if you're talking about homegrown brands, or you talk about Coca-Cola, you talk about Unilever, you talk about Procter & Gamble. That's why it's very important for all of you to look at the brands that have succeeded in the marketplace over time. It's also important for you all to also look back in the history of time to see which are the brands which do not exist anymore today. All right, so there are a host of brands which do not exist today, but were at one point of time the leaders in the market. All right, so there are histories that you need to look at, failures or case studies of failure in brands which are the cause of the demise of a brand, because perhaps it could not sustain its leadership role in the market. Why did it fail? Was it due to a product, lack of product innovation? Was it due to lack of the leap of technology, or was it because of the management culture? So many things are there. So therefore there are a host of things that can be looked at, and I will share a resource of a book with all of you, wherein you will see that in that book, it has been defined or it has been shared what are the criticalities of the brands that have sustained the test of time and which are some of the brands which are faced a decline and finally bit the dust. Now, coming back to the strategic brand management process, which is of course known by everyone in the market today, but who or which company executes this better than the other determines the market leadership or the sustained brand performance in the market. So what are the steps of the strategic brand management process that you see in the screen? There are a few steps: identify and establish brand positioning and values. And what you see on the screen are certain key concepts. All right. So I will show you those key concepts a little later. Let us look on the left side at the broad steps involved in the strategic brand management process. So the first set of steps are about identifying and establishing brand position and values. Next is to plan and implement the brand marketing programs. The third step is measuring and interpreting the brand performance, right? I have ticked it here, which is very, very important. That next is growing and sustaining brand equity. Now let us look at the key concepts on the right hand side. All right, let us look at the right hand side once. Let me just tick it by yellow and look at the brand concepts involved in the strategic brand management process. All right, I hope you're able to see the screen, all of you. Right, the key concepts. So which means the key concepts here pertain to the steps involved in the first step of the strategic brand management process. So if somebody were to ask you, what are the strategic brand management process? So academically, your preparation must involve understanding the first step, which is identifying and establishing brand positioning values. Second step, which is plan and implement the marketing programs. Third step, which is about measuring and interpreting the brand performance. And fourth is growing and sustaining brand equity. So how many steps in the brand management process is there? Strategic brand management process is there. Students, please put it on this chat box. Let me see your answers coming in the chat box. What are the steps involved, or how many steps? 4. Very good. Thank you, Ashil. Yes, thank you, Ravi Kiran. 4. Now, which are the steps? You will have to see the steps. Identifying and establishing brand positioning. The second step, third, and the fourth, right? Now, let us look at what are the concepts which are involved. The concepts are, if I could just label it as A. So 1A. What are the key concepts? There should be mental maps. You need to develop competitive frame of reference. We will look at all of these concepts a little later in terms of the elaboration of the concepts. But understand that these are the things that have to be considered when we are considering, or we are in the first step of the strategic brand management process. All right, so developing mental maps, competitive frame of reference, points of parity and points of differences. So points of parity we call as POP, and points of difference we call as POD. POP means point of parity, similarity with other brands, and points of difference, POD, D for difference or D for Delhi. So points of difference, which would be, well, how is the brand different from others? All right. The next step is core brand values. So the company would have, just like any company has vision, mission, values, the department would also have different kinds of brand values, brand mission, values, all these things, which would be pertinent for a brand. All right. So certain things then translate into the brand mantra, which means how does the brand sustain itself? How does it occur? How does it go on? What is the typical principle behind the brand sustaining itself? Right? So it is a kind of a set of items, set of words, set of valuable words which drive the spirit of the brand. So for example, Nike has the brand mantra of authentic, athletic, performance, all of that, right? Then you have, say, Disney. They talk about, family entertainment compared to some other entertainment options. So when it is family entertainment, everything that they do needs to be kept in mind that it is for family entertainment options. So they will not select certain entertainment options, but they will select and do certain programs or activities pertaining to family entertainment. But for other categories, for non-family or for a little bit of a mature audience, they do have some other brands to take care of that, right? So core brand values are instilled or are developed, and it gets manifested in the brand mantra. So we will look at different brand mantras also of different brands and see how or what were these or why were these developed and how this has affected the different branding programs of the company. Now let us come to the second step of the strategic brand management. Strategic brand management, second step. Okay, and then let me make the key point as B, the key concepts pertaining to planning and implementing brand marketing programs. So once you've developed the mental maps and competitive frame of reference, POD, POP, you develop the brand values and you have developed the brand mantra. The next is what? You need to market, the mixing and matching of the brand elements. Then integrate the brand marketing activities, leverage secondary associations. We will again look at all of these. Now, what is brand element? Brand element is those things that make up a brand. What makes up a brand? Brand is a name, term, sign, symbol, design, or a combination of them involved in identifying a brand from one seller or a group of sellers and differentiate them from competition, right? So this brand name, term, sign, symbol, design, all of these things are elements which go to create a brand. All right. So recall how Airtel is written against the red background. Recall how Vodafone is written. What is the logo? Recall how Coca-Cola is written. Recall how ITC is written. Recall the brand Audi. What is the design of the brand? Recall Volkswagen, recall Hyundai, recall. So every kind of brand will have a certain kind of combination of name, term, sign, symbol, all of these which go into making that brand name. So these brand elements will have to be mixed and matched. So you will definitely have a combination by which the brand is written. Is there an italicization of the brand writing? Are you going to make your brand name multilingual so that it appeals to different languages? In that case, you will have to look at ensuring that your brand name perhaps sounds similar to what your core brand is actually. Or else you'll have to take care that your brand does not sound funny or unacceptable in a different language. So there are also examples of those kind of cases wherein brands, when they were tried to be translated into different languages across within a different country, of course, there have been issues. Of course, across different geographical boundaries, that is in foreign lands, when these have been attempted, several brands had to modify their brand name, how it is written or sounded, so that it doesn't it doesn't go asynchronous with the main objective of the brand. Number one. Second thing is, it should not be offensive to the new foreign set of customers. So we will look at all of that a little later. Next is integrating brand marketing activities. So when you talk about integrating the brand marketing activities, it means how do you market it? Do you really market it only at a local level, at a global level? Do you take only television or radio or this or that? Do you integrate everything? So you need to think about marketing it in a holistic manner using all possible options. And you have to also think about if the marketing is going to happen for the brand at the initial stage, in addition to creating brand awareness and all of that, brand activation also has to be done. So how do you ensure activation can be done? So if it is a fast moving product, you might give out samples for people to check, taste, test, all of these, right? Or it could be something like giving a demo option. So many of these things have to be done. And then if it is the brand is at a mature stage, you might want a lot of people to buy the brand at a particular stage. So maybe sales promotion involved in a bigger way, sales promotional activities might not be very, very suitable for a luxury brand. So you need to understand what are your brand connotation. Are you an economy brand or a budget brand, or are you a high-end brand? Are you an aristocratic brand per se, where you cannot give too much of brand promotion and dilute the brand equity that is there in the market? So many of these factors will have to be considered. The last but not the least is leveraging secondary associations, means associations which are built over time from a third party. So some brand gets award by a different by another company. You have this Times Award, for example, or you get awards from the government, you get awards from quality agencies, right? So you will often see that brands will say that, we have been recognized by some other company. So this third party associations lend a lot of credibility, because of course every brand will be talking, or every company will say that their brand is better. their brand is the best. But what if a third party, a party or an agency which is external to the company says that they're good, right? So that's how, for example, you talk about Economic Times brand ranking. When you say that your brand is in the top 10 ranking and listed by Economic Times. So this fact that Economic Times is not the same company as the brand, and you say that Economic Times has listed you in the top 10 or top 50, it lends a credibility, right? Or you're considered, you're a top company globally. Who has ranked you? Interbrand has ranked you, Fortune has ranked you, so Fortune 500 companies. So this kind of third party external bodies vetting or giving awards to a brand also lends credibility. All right. Or for example, you use laptop or computers and you say that there is Intel. You remember the Intel Inside logo and all that. That used to also make sure that the brand used to be sold better, because Intel Inside, it used to talk about something good about the processor, about the quality of the processor, right? So many of these things. So if such things are also there as part of the branding from a third party who's known for its quality or known for its credibility, and that is associated with the brand, it also adds a credibility. For example, credit cards, when you say it's a Visa card or a MasterCard, all right, so you know that it is being the card or this particular bank is utilizing the vast and massive credible network of the Visa or the MasterCard. It automatically lends a certain amount of credibility to the bank. So the debit card or the credit card might be from a bank company like, say, IDFC or State Bank of India or ICICI Bank or HDFC Bank. But you say it's a HDFC Bank credit card or debit card, and it is a Visa card. It is a MasterCard, right? So it adds credibility in that way. So leveraging secondary associations. Primary associations are those associations which the company builds on its own for the brand. Secondary associations are those that it builds with other external agencies. So celebrity endorsements, if you remember, Lux being endorsed by Bollywood celebrities, right? Or for example, the hair care products, you have Aishwarya Rai or the Miss India or the Miss World celebrities, they endorse certain brands. So what happens? You are endorsing it from a third party saying that these are good brands. Third step of the strategic brand management process involves measuring and interpreting brand performance. So we are at the third one. Third one, let me mark the key concept as C. So third step, measuring and interpreting brand performance. What are the key concepts? Brand value chain, brand audits. We will look at the brand value chain, so I will not elaborate much here. Just like any value chain activities, if you remember the 9 activities that were there, right? Porter's generic value chain, like that we also have something where we have the value chain activities for the brand as well. The next thing that is important in measuring and interpreting brand performance is to do a brand audit. What is an audit, by the way, students? What is audit? When you think about some audit, okay, what do you think an audit is for? Put in your answers in the chat box as we go. So what do you think is a audit, first of all? And what do you think would be a brand audit? And why should brand audit come in this particular set? Are you getting the point? Brand audit is happening where we are talking about measuring and interpreting brand performance. So what is the purpose of auditing? What happens in auditing? And why would auditing be required in a brand management process? Okay, there is something to do with that in the next concept, brand tracking. So brand tracking is also done in order to measure and interpret brand performance. And finally, we have the brand equity management system, which is to be a part of the third step about measuring and interpreting brand performance. So let me see if there are some answers which have come in the chat box pertaining to audit. I'm sure all of you have had a basic idea about auditing in the financial sense and auditing in the sense of doing something in a management sphere. What do you think auditing is? Valuation, finding faults, finding errors, finding what is going right and what is going wrong. Would that be brand auditing? I'm not able to see the answers, so I need some answers coming in. All right, let me see some of the answers coming in. Yeah, to check how the brand is performing based on our marketing activities. Fine, that is brand audit. Ashil, you've just hit the bullseye. I also need the answers from some of you here to tell me what is auditing all about. When you do an audit, say retail audit, what have you heard the term retail audit? Retail audit. Let me see if you have heard the term the retail audit. Heard the term retail audit?
Ma'am, it is to create
Yes.
It is to create an financial inspection, ma'am.
Financial inspection. Very good. Excellent, Ravi Kiran. Very good. Clap, clap, clap. So financial inspection to find out. Now let it be taken out. Let it be a relay race. So Ravi Kiran says it's a financial inspection. Shreyas, Santosh, Pranita, Karthik, tell me. Switch on your mics and let me hear you out. So Ravi Kiran has said that it is something to do with financial inspection. Ashil has really given a very elaborate thing about brand audit, but I am asking something very, very elementary than what our esteemed colleague Ashil has pointed out. Ashil has given a fantastic, writing about a brand audit here. Ravi Kiran has also done that. Shreyas, unmute yourself, please. Karthik, Pranita, Santosh, unmute. Let me see you all, because you're not answering. So what is a brand audit and why do you think it is important and is an important aspect of measuring brand
It actually
performance?
evaluates your brand position in the market.
Yeah, it evaluates. Absolutely. I'm only trying to find out. Santosh, Karthik, Shreyas and Pranita, please unmute and open your videos.
It's actually brand evaluation.
Santosh, let me see your nice face, please. I've not seen you all for a long time. Yeah, while Santosh's video is coming on, Karthik, please switch on. Yeah, Karthik. Okay, be there. I'll take a screenshot. I'm going to take a screenshot of all my students because I don't get to see you, but I need to see that you're all there. Okay, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. I was actually thinking to, when are you guys coming on the campus? Pranita, come back, Pranita, wherever you are. Come back, Pranita. Pranita. Someone offline, please call her. Ashil. Please call Pranita. Pranita, she's gone. She's gone. She's gone. Now I'm going to do brand. I was doing auditing. Now I'm doing tracking. Oh, wow. Let me just take the screenshot of all of you here. Finally, I get to see my marketing students. Finally, let me just put it here 1 second. And you know why I'm doing this? Because we are actually coming to one of the chapter's ending point here before we go off to the next one. 1 minute. Huh? Just a moment. Yeah. So let me see. Keep your videos on. Keep your videos on. You might mute yourself. That's okay. But you can also unmute yourself and be there. Ah, there you are. Can you see yourself, guys?
Ma'am, my network is not stable. Can I?
No, you can't leave. You can't leave. Wait.
Not leaving, ma'am. I'll just turn off the video because I can't hear you properly.
Wait, I'm taking a screenshot. I'm taking a screenshot. You unmute you mute yourself. You mute your video now. We want Pranita on the screen. Okay, Santosh, mute your video if you want. Yeah, I've taken a screenshot. Did you see yourselves on the screen? Now, why did I do that? Because each of you are also a brand. We are talking about brands, right? We are talking about brands.
Yes, ma'am.
You are all brands also. See yourself on the screen.
Ma'am.
Yeah. So I'm talking about all about brand management and I don't even know the students also. If you see me on the corridor also, you will not recognize me. I will not recognize you. You will not recognize me. So it's such a, sad state. But nevertheless, so why I was talking about the brands here is because after this point, we are through with the point here and then we are going to start with customer-based brand equity in the next class. Understood? So last step, I was talking about brand audit. I have taken your screenshot. Now, if you want, you can put your videos on mute. 1 second. Oh, how promptly everybody has gone back. Only Pranita is not there. Ashil, please make a note to convey to Pranita. So now last but not the least, another 10 minutes to go, 8 to 10 minutes to go. Let us continue from where we left. Yes, so brand auditing is about checking, inspecting what is going good with the brand, what is not going good with the brand. So there are different ways by which this auditing is done. Brand tracking is also done because the purpose is to measure and interpret the brand performance. Brand equity management system is developed in order to understand, and this is where brand equity management system would involve evaluation of the brand, both in terms of qualitative and quantitative manner. You all would recall the research, process. How is research done? Business research is done. So in business research, you have seen that there is a qualitative way in which research is done. There is also a quantitative way, right? So in normal social sciences arena, it's always better to combine qualitative and quantitative manner. So it's not only just important to quantitatively check how well a brand is doing, what is the sales that is happening, how has it grown over the last month or last year or last quarter. It's not only about the relative performance, but it is also important to find out what do people feel about a brand. And when you're talking about people feeling and perceiving something about a brand, yes, you can develop quantitative questionnaires to find out, how well do you like a brand? I like it very much. I like it. I don't like it, and all of that. You can have scales and all that. But you can also do projective techniques. You can ask people open-ended questions. You can have focus group discussions. You can have depth interviews with certain key stakeholders to find out how does a brand perform. You can also do ethnographic studies, go and understand how people are finding the usage of their brands in the marketplace. So depending on the feasibility and the possibility of doing such research, you could have a mix of qualitative and quantitative manner in which the understanding about the brand or brand tracking evaluation is done. Similar set of methodologies are also used when brand valuation happens. That is when you try to give a financial value to a brand. So the video that you saw in the beginning of the class, wherein you saw that the global brand listing has come out, so many brands, hundreds and hundreds of brands have been considered, but out of the many and multiple brands that are there in the marketplace, there are a set of top 100 brands with a certain set of valuation, and how they have been performing in the last 1 year has been put up as the best global brands 2021, which was released in October, 20th of October 2021. So the brand performance therefore will also have to be measured by the companies themselves. Last but not the least is growing and sustaining brand equity. So when we talk about growing and sustaining brand equity, what do we mean by that? The last point. So what are some of the key concepts? Brand product matrix, brand portfolio and hierarchies, brand expansion strategies, and brand reinforcement and revitalization. So this is about continuing the brand. So it is not a fly-by-night operation. All right. It is not something wherein you build a brand just to sell it off tomorrow. So it's not your typical, even the kind of serial entrepreneurship stories that you hear in the marketplace, wherein somebody might be building a brand, build a company, build a valuation in across 2 years or 5 years and sell off the brand and go off. No, it is about talking about building, sustaining, maintaining the brand for not only today, mid-term and also long-term. So we will leave it at this today, and we will continue in the next class with that. And before we leave, I will run this video that I showed all of you. You can also access this video from that Interbrand website, which I put across in the LMS. And also I have shared the report. This 2021 brand listing, I will share it a little later. If you have any doubts, you can please let me know. Okay, so I will run this video and then we can be done for today. Tell me if you are able to hear the volume as well.
Yes, ma'am, it's audible.
Okay, thanks. trying to get back the controls once you're sharing the screen. So which is a top brand therefore, students?
Apple, ma'am.
Still
Apple.
Apple. Last year, you remember?
Yeah, as always, Apple.
Not always, actually not always, but yeah, for the last 2 years almost it is like that. But yeah, it's not always, but yeah, it is one of the reading. And it has grown by 26% that's what the plus 26% shows. And the valuation is in $1 million, right? Want to buy this brand? Anyone wants to buy this brand? If you want to buy this brand, this is how much it will cost, right? So brand is such. And in fact, last but not the least is why I keep telling you all this is you yourselves individually are also brands. Now you'll be a brand either for, within the exam, within the course, and then tomorrow when you're going to appear for interviews, for placement in your domain, you are a brand. Who you are, what you can do, what is your qualification, what are you capable to do, how you are perceived. All of these things are also going to add to your brand value. So branding is not only about products and services. When you talk about personal brands, it's very important to build your personal brand also, because tomorrow, no matter whatever initiative you take, whether you're going to have a business or you're going to do your job employed with a company, it's important to develop your professional branding. So it is important to use certain platforms, see the best practices of professionals. So what is one of the most used and most familiar professional networking social media platform that you are aware of? Are you aware of a brand called LinkedIn?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So I would request all of you and would want that all of you build a profile on LinkedIn if you have not done so till now. And your LinkedIn profile is different from your Facebook profile, right? Why is it so? Because a social profile is also important, how you are as an individual. And when you go for interviews, the personal branding would take into account everything that you do on the social media, right? So your the LinkedIn profile is as important as your Facebook profile, and more so because you're in the threshold. All of you are at the threshold of a very, very fantastic career ahead. Now, right now from this time, because you're almost going to the closure of your semester in about a couple of months, and then you will be graduating with your MBA degree, it's very important for you to implement. The first thing would be to implement the branding principles in your life first. Second thing is whatever internship opportunities you get, try and understand how they have implemented the branding strategies and see where all you can implement or you can bring some amount of change. Now, one thing which is a kind of a reality check is that not everyone would be getting the chance, not from the entry level. You will not get a chance to do everything in strategic brand management, but you will be at the stage where you will execute certain marketing programs and activities for a company. Now, when you're doing that, observe yourself as you execute those marketing programs, either in your internship or when you are going to look at job opportunities. What is it that you're going to look at doing when you are taking up an offer or you're going to do some work with a company? If you are going to have your own company, or if you're going to develop entrepreneurial opportunities on your own, or let us talk very simply, for example, having club activities, how you promote them is using brand management principles. All right, so think about all of these as we connect in the subsequent class. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.